All right, so hello. My name is Matthew Cioletti, and this is my episode for our Class 2 page podcast, Managing the Minds of Tomorrow. So I am interviewing the Director of Secondary Education for the Wayne District School, which is where I came from, Mr. Matthew Mignanelli, and he was also a former principal of Schuyler Colfax, which was my middle school. So I have some questions for you. So
Sounds great.
since my topic is going to be teaching student discipline, specifically at the secondary level, because my goal is to teach in the secondary schools. How does behavior and attitude affect students' grades?
Well, ultimately, if kids are not on task and they're showing behaviors in the classroom, then they're not engaged in the concepts that are being taught by a teacher. And so it's really detrimental to the entire process that if they're not understanding concepts while they're in class, then that's not going to translate, and they're building upon those concepts over the course of time. So it's very important that students are not only behaving appropriately in class, but they are also on task, following what the teacher's saying, participating in the lesson, asking questions when appropriate, and just following the expectations in the classroom.
So yeah, I receive all my statistics from the National Center for Education Statistics, and there are some teachers that are leaving. Like, there are 8% of teachers in the nation left their school in 2021, and 84 remained in the same school, while there was also 8% who quit teaching, and that hasn't changed since 2012. So even though there were 84% of teachers staying in the same school, there was still a small percentage that did leave and did quit. So
Yeah, it's believable.
and I feel like, yeah, that has to do with, like, can teachers manage, like, the behavior of students? Like, can they still teach despite those struggles? So my next question is, how can teachers be fair in teaching discipline without being too harsh? So I think
Yeah.
it tends to be harsh, and, like, are there ways around that?
100%. I mean, like, whether it's managing adults or managing students, and this is a lesson for you as you move forward into the educational field, is that I think that a lot of times teachers are hesitant to set a hard line and to create expectations and policies and procedures in the classroom and then stick to them, right? So, like, if you're telling a 7th grade student or a 12th grade student that here's the expectations that I have to be throughout the school year, whether it's behaviors in the classroom or when they're going to be giving assignments, how they're being assessed, how they're walking through the hallways, how cell phones are being managed, you have to stick to what you put in front of those students. And like there's that age-old statement of, like, don't smile until December, because students need to understand that you're tough. You're bringing up a good point. Like, we don't need to be harsh. We just need to be consistent and equitable in the way that we approach students. So if they break a rule, I'm not taking that personally. That's you making a decision that operates outside of the parameters that I set for you. And there's consequences that go along with that. And it's a really good thing for students to learn. If you don't hold to the expectation, that's when the behaviors continue and potentially are impacting other students in the classroom.
Yeah, and also, like, in terms of, like, the number of teachers, like, in 2020, 2021, there were 1.9 million teachers in the nation at the secondary level specifically, and percent higher than 10 years prior, and when that was 1.7. So the number of teachers are going up, like, especially, like, when there's a lot of teacher shortages, like, in certain states. And
Yeah.
that's definitely true. So my last question is, going back to, like, what teachers are going through, especially when they're starting out, what challenges it brings for teachers to deal with behavior when they do not know of their disabilities, which affect their learning. Sometimes students have disabilities in which they don't know about.
Right, that's a really good point. So whether you're an elementary teacher or a secondary teacher, I think the biggest challenge is when you walk into a classroom, you have such a wide array of students that are coming from very different backgrounds, whether it be culturally or just the manner in which they were raised by their parents or the people that they're interacting with on a daily basis. They bring, as we call it, their backpack to the classroom, right, of all the things that they carry on a daily basis. Some of them might be very strong in math. Others might be very strong in reading or writing. So for a teacher to walk into a classroom and not have a full understanding, like you can look at their test grades from prior, but you don't know what's happening. Maybe there was a deficit. Maybe they're really struggling with understanding some sort of concept in one of the content areas. And so for you as a teacher, your responsibility is to learn the ins and outs of their stuff. And many times when you walk into a classroom, you're immediately going to identify the kid that's probably going to bring more issues to you because their behavioral or whatever's happened in the past, maybe they had a teacher or maybe they're being behavioral because they don't understand what's happening. But it's your job as a teacher to identify, figure out why the behaviors exist, and help them to get to a point where they have confidence in the classroom. They can form that trustful relationship. Really can bring that student very far.
Yes, and I feel like this happens a lot, like in special education.
Yep.
Like 40% of public schools had trouble finding special education teachers, and that's a really high number. Like I know going into secondary education, there are some special needs within those classes too. So like I am very aware of like, because I was used to like there being aides in the classroom, like how like there's like to help that specific student. So I've seen it all. And before we end, I'd just like to say coming on. It was a pleasure having you. I think this was a very successful meeting. And happy holidays.
Happy holidays. And if you need anything else, Matt, reach out, okay?
Yes.